The Tory MP David Davis is single-handedly bringing down Nicola Sturgeon, and the SNP MPs in Westminster try to block the evidence. Well, what a drama is this Nicola Sturgeon scandal. It was pretty quiet for about a week or so since Nicola Sturgeon appeared in front of the Scottish Committee to answer some questions, or forget to answer questions that were raised about Alex Salmond's inquiry. But yesterday in Parliament in Westminster, the Tory MP David Davis, who's very much in favour of exposés and defending whistleblowers, he came out with new evidence against Nicola Sturgeon and her government. As you might remember, this Alex Salmond inquiry, Alex Salmond says that the complaints were fake, and obviously, he was found not guilty. He said that it was a plot against him to send him to jail. And obviously, what happened was Nicola Sturgeon says that she didn't know anything about it until April 2018. We discovered that there was a meeting in March 2018 that she just doesn't remember, or she didn't count it as a real meeting. Now we have new evidence thanks to David Davis and his whistleblower. Firstly, what he decided to do is use his parliamentary privilege yesterday in Parliament to expose these evidence, and SNP MPs tried to stop him.
A few weeks ago, I was passed some papers from an anonymous whistleblower. The information in those papers consisted of a download of text messages from the telephone of Sue Riddick, the Chief Operating Officer of the SNP. This download...
So he was just about to explain what happened. The SNP MPs tried to stop him. Now they're going to raise this issue, concerned about names being protected.
Madam Deputy Speaker, obviously I appreciate the points that the Right Honourable Gentleman is making. However, there are court orders in place around the identities of individuals involved in that case. And I do appreciate the points that the Honourable Gentleman is making. However, I would appreciate your guidance on how we can ensure that these court orders can in fact be adhered to in this place.
Well, fair enough, but this is the response.
For his very serious point of order, and I can assure him that I am listening very carefully to what the Right Honourable Gentleman is saying, and I think that the Right Honourable Gentleman, being a very experienced parliamentarian, understands the side of the line on which he must stay as far as mentioning sensitive matters and matters connected with courts, etc.
Yes, and here was the drama that David Davis started in Westminster.
This was a government that actively withheld important, relevant information. In one case, a critically relevant email was actively removed from an information bundle that's going to the court and which had already been approved by government counsel. I don't know who took that email out. I have it here. I don't know who took it out. I don't know who gave the instruction. But in my view, the removal of that document will be a summary dismissible offence.
That's the biggest point. There's one aspect about the evidence that already existed, whether it was in the form of email or any sort of notes that were removed. And the other issues are the minutes of certain meetings that don't even exist. They didn't even take minutes, which is a different issue that we have.
At the very least, I believe it will be a contempt of court. And yet, over his 3 evidence sessions, the Lord Advocate, the Chief Law Officer of Scotland, did not see fit to mention this crucial incident to a parliamentary committee trying to get to the truth. It only came to light just 10 days ago when the government was forced to publish its legal advice. It was only in January 2019, after months of increasingly damning advice, that the Scottish Government faced the inevitable and conceded the judicial review.
But he's absolutely right. The people in the position of power, especially the legal side, they had the chance for a long time to expose this. They only decided to say it when they were forced to actually reveal the evidence.
The Scottish Government at a punitive level, reserved for defences conducted incompetently or unreasonably. The Scottish public will now pay the bill for their government's dogged pursuit of a doomed case. More than that, the Scottish Government behaved in a way that was misleading to the court in a case that had serious implications for the criminal case that was to follow. The charges in that case were very serious. Had Mr. Salmond been guilty of them, he would quite rightly have gone to prison, and his reputation would have been destroyed forever.
And this is absolutely right. He's also talking about the cost to the taxpayer. Over £500,000 wasted on this. It's a big issue, especially coming from me, who believe in, not having waste, governmental waste. But there's a bigger problem. It's the Scottish government misleading Parliament. That's a bigger problem than wasting taxpayers' money.
Willing to play fast and loose with the facts in a way that, if it had succeeded, would have jeopardised the whole process of justice. For me, that's even bigger than the grotesque waste of £1 million. As it was, of course, he was exonerated on all charges by a predominantly female jury in a criminal court presided over by a female judge. The Scottish government...
That's a different point. A lot of the SNP minions who were quite convinced that Alex Salmond was guilty. They were talking about, equality and, the genders and everything else. Well, the people at the top who decided that he wasn't guilty, it was, primarily female.
Committed abuses of process in the initial investigation. It had failed to live up to its duty of candour in court with an indefensible case. So at this point, you might expect some contrition. Instead, the Scottish Government has now set its sights on impeding the committee tasked with investigating the whole affair.
This was a big, big moment in British politics and this relationship between Westminster and Holyrood, because we've had a lot of reaction to it last night. We've had tweets such as this. Tory David Davis has just got the UK Tory government to agree to extend parliamentary privilege to Holyrood so that members of the Scottish Parliament can hear the evidence that the SNPs John Swinney and Nicola Sturgeon say that MSPs shouldn't hear. Who's standing up for the Scottish Parliament now? Well, that's also a separate point. Again, the relationship between Holyrood and Westminster has always been fascinating since these devolution powers came into place. But part of this evidence that David Davis exposed was about Liz Lloyd, who's a senior aide to Nicola Sturgeon. Now, as they mentioned, is that her top advisor, Liz Lloyd, apparently knew about the Alex Salmond case in February 2018. And this is way before Nicola Sturgeon claims that she knew. And this raises a different issue as well, because if, for example, David Davis is saying that he has text messages, a lot of conversations that were saved, saying that the top civil servant in the Scottish government knew, and they said that the Liz interference is very bad. This is at the time. So, are you saying that her senior aide knew, civil servant knew, they also decided that this is a bad idea, but Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister, didn't know? This is the same First Minister who's a control freak. She wants to be on top of everything. She wants to know everything. But you're saying that she didn't know anything until April 2018. And this is why David Davis says that the First Minister was of course aware of these claims way earlier than she claims. This changes everything. We've had a reaction from the Scottish Conservative leader Douglas Ross on this issue. It's fascinating. He said that in his statement, that if the First Minister's side were aware of the complaints against Alex Salmond in February 2018, an outrageous breach of those women's privacy and confidentiality has occurred. True. February 2018 is also 2 months before Nicola Sturgeon originally claimed to find out about the complaints. If her chief of staff knew then and was interfering in the investigation, it blows another enormous hole in the First Minister's story. Again, true. If civil servants said that the First Minister's chief of staff was interfering in the investigation in a very bad way, then that is a sacking offence. It raises serious questions about how she tried to interfere, how she found out, who told her, when she knew, and who she went on to tell. And in the middle of all this, we have Humza Yousaf, the Justice Minister of Nicola Sturgeon's government, coming out with conspiracy theories and very defensive, very harsh, saying that they will throw more conspiracies and rigged polls. Well, okay, at us between now and polling day. We will stay focused on the recovery for this country and ask people who they trust to guide us through it. Nicola or Douglas Ross? In whose hands do they trust our country's future? Scotland's or Westminster? Is this seriously the sort of politics we are now facing in Scotland? Are these people actual grown-up adults running the Scottish government? This is the problem that we have. In the middle of all this, ordinary people in Scotland are being hurt and no one cares. Where's the mainstream media? There was a bit of outrage on the BBC and Sky News because David Davis used his parliamentary privilege. The event occurred in Westminster, in the Westminster bubble. That's why the mainstream media mentioned it. If something else like this had happened by a member of Scottish Parliament, you wouldn't hear it on the mainstream media. But on this channel, as usual, we'll keep you guys posted because this is escalating. It's going to make this motion of no confidence in Nicola Sturgeon's leadership more possible in the Scottish Parliament. So this is going to be a fascinating few days that we're going to have. this week and next week. Now, if you are a member of this channel, don't forget we've just launched our new weekly newsletters that will be sent out to everyone this Sunday. Now, obviously, I don't have your email addresses even if you're a member, so don't forget you actually have to sign up to this. I'll put the link on the community tab on the main homepage of the channel. Also put the screenshot so you know where it is. So you have to actually sign up, otherwise you won't receive this newsletter. We have some amazing guest contributors who will be part of this week. We have Emma Webb, we have the former Brexit Party MEP Alex Phillips, and in the future we're going to have a lot of bigger names as well. I'm going to ask, I've already asked Lawrence Fox, I'm going to ask Nigel Farage, a number of others to also write for our newsletters, and of course myself and Lacey Butcher as well. To become a member, check out the link in the description or find the join button next to subscribe under the video. And if you also want to apply to become a contributor on this newsletter, you can. Firstly, you have to become a member of this channel. Secondly, I'm going to post all the information as usual on the community tab, as well as on the members channel on Discord. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell next to it, and make sure to click on all not personalized to stay up to date with our daily programs. Thanks again for watching. I'm Tousi, and I'll see you guys in the next video.